What's up, MVP? Welcome back. Streebo here with your post-Halloween movie review, whatever you want to call it this time around. And believe it or not, it is November the 7th, 8th, I believe. November 8th, and I just got out of another screening of Rob Zombie's Halloween. It is still playing, released August 31st, still in theaters, so how do you like that? We did several reviews for Rob Zombie's Halloween. The only reason I'm doing a follow-up is just talk about the things that I enjoyed in the film, because a lot of people loved the film and a lot of people really hated it. I mean, despised it. I posted a favorable review about it here at Mutantville, and I've received a lot of just out-and-out insults over the film. I mean, if we disagree about what we like or don't like in a film, that's fine. People have their own preferences, they have their own tastes. We're going to see things differently, we're going to enjoy things differently. That's no need to go on and insult people about it. I don't understand how anybody that enjoys horror films would not enjoy, they love Rob Zombie's Halloween, so I'm kind of at a loss about that. Now, I'm not going to make any kind of sweeping generalizations and say that everybody that didn't like it just wanted to hate it from the beginning, or that you just don't have any taste. In some of your cases, that is true, but not for everybody. A lot of people that I have a lot of respect for didn't like the film, just as well a lot of my friends that I have respect for did like the film. So, you know, it's pretty straight down the line. In all honesty, I can't help but think this is just another case of just recurring apoplectic, myopic vision on the case of horror fans. It happens from time to time. Great horror films come along. They are underappreciated in the time of their release, and it's not until years later that people start to look at it and appreciate it for what it was. And I'm going on record to say Rob Zombie's Halloween is one of those films, going way back 20 years. John Carpenter's The Thing, another film that was despised when it was released, trounced by everyone. 5-10 years later, it's heralded as a classic. When you hold a poll and ask people what their top 10 horror films are going to be, 9 times out of 10 you're going to see John Carpenter's The Thing pop up in that list. But when it came out, it was not appreciated. Now, I'm not saying Rob Zombie's Halloween is going to end up in that kind of list, but I'm going to say people are going to learn to appreciate it over time. It's going to build its own audience. So I'm going to talk to you about what I enjoyed about it. I'm rocking my Caligula shirt. I would be in front of the Rob Zombie's Halloween poster, but I'm gonna have to settle for the After Dark Horror Fest 2007 because they've already taken the poster down outside. Although the movie is still playing, and you can still see Rob Zombie's Halloween in theaters. Now, I can go two ways about this. Normally, if you try to get too intellectual and talk about subtext and this and implied metaphor and all that kind of stuff, people say, well, you're just trying to reason your way around it. Well, I can go the straight trash route too. I mean, we can talk about what this film had going for it in terms of slasher film, in terms of a horror film. I mean, you're talking about good gore effects, just brutal killings all the way through, hot naked women having sex and getting killed all through the movie. I mean, what's not to like? Then in terms of, if you want to get into metaphor and subtext, the thing that I really like about this film is that Michael Myers is still a cipher in this film. He is still the face of evil, okay? The clues we're given all throughout the film is the mask. I mean, that's where it comes from. It's the first time we see him, he has the mask on, and it's the clown mask, okay? The character of Michael Myers is as much of a cipher. He's still as much of an enigma as he is to us in John Carpenter's work. This film, a lot of people discount it because of the particular idiom that Rob Zombie chooses to work in. He likes to work with that white trash idiom. That's what he goes with. He loves that rockabilly thing. So, people praised it in Devil's Rejects, and now they're bashing it for this. Horror fans like to have their cake and eat it too. So the clue to Michael Myers being the face of evil throughout this entire film, okay, is the mask. We see it from the beginning. He's wearing the clown mask, and like there's a classic Lon Chaney quote about the clown at midnight. That a clown is funny when you see it in the context of a circus, okay? But when you see that same clown knock on your door at midnight and you open the door and there's a clown standing there, it's scary as hell. So John Carpenter had Michael Myers dressed as a clown in the original Halloween as the kid, okay? And Rob Zombie picks up with that and has him use that clown mask for most of his mask appearance as a kid in this movie. And it's brilliant. It works because it seems innocent, but also there's that strange, sinister, off-kilter energy to it, and it definitely looks evil, and especially when he has it on and his eyes are black. You can't see his eyes, and he totally looks like he has no souls. That's all there is to it. I mean, it's very, very simple. It's a challenge. Okay, Rob Zombie says, okay, perhaps this was a kid, he deserved to have a normal life. Perhaps these are the elements that drove him away, that made him become a killer. But you know what? Maybe he was evil to begin with, because when they find him at the school and they find the dead cat in his bag and then they find all the pictures, you know that Michael Myers has been doing these things since before the movie even began. So there's no moment that we can pinpoint and go, oh, well, here he started killing because his drunk stepfather used to beat him, or here's why he started killing because his mom was a stripper. No. For all we know, this kid was killing and maiming from the time he was born, from the time he could walk, from the time he could hold something, from the time that he could take a magnifying glass and put it over an ant and watch it smolder in the sunlight. There's an evil element to children, and we see this become manifest in the form of Michael Myers. What if this child was evil? What if he only had a sliver of innocence inside of him that never stood a chance? And this is what he would become. And I think it's brilliant. I think Rob Zombie's take on it is completely brilliant. Although all the critics are going to say Rob Zombie drained Michael Myers of his energy by giving him a backstory, by telling you where he came from. I'm going to say you're completely wrong, because there's no moment in this film where anybody sits down and says, this is exactly why Michael Myers kills people. This is why he does it. This is what he's trying to achieve. There are only guesses. There are a lot of things shown to you. You're shown his environment. You're shown all these possible influences that might have helped shape him into the killer that he became, but it is never pointed out. It's left open to you, the viewer, and me, the viewer, to decide. And that's what's cool, when things are open for some kind of interpretation. A lot of people have said, oh, well, they made a mistake because they explained this, like in it made sense in Hannibal Rising, or it made sense in Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. It didn't. Those films ruined those characters because they told you exactly why they started killing. If you haven't seen Hannibal Rising, I'm going to spoil for a second. They straight out said that he ate his sister. He was fed his sister to survive. So when he found that out, it just made him snap, and that's why he kills people, and that's why he eats people later on. So once you know that, yeah, guess what? The character of Hannibal becomes less frightening, less mysterious. He's more known to us. We understand his psyche. That never happens in Rob Zombie's Halloween. If you're saying it does, you just weren't paying attention. You made up your mind beforehand. A lot of elements are shown to us, but the character of Michael Myers is as much of a cipher as he is in John Carpenter's Halloween. Now, people have told me, oh, well, you just like Rob Zombie's Halloween because you don't like John Carpenter's Halloween. Well, BS. John Carpenter's Halloween is one of the films that I will often consider the #1 horror film ever made. I mean, I think it's a 10 out of 10 every time, and I absolutely love it. And I watched it several times before Rob Zombie's Halloween came out to just prepare myself for what I was getting into, to hold on to that film and then to let it go, and I could go and accept what Rob Zombie's film was going to be about. Because the entire first part of the movie is not a prequel, because if you go back and watch John Carpenter's Halloween, it picks up from exactly the same point where Michael Myers comes home as a kid and he goes and he kills his sister and her boyfriend, okay? Rob Zombie's Halloween picks up from exactly the same point. The only thing is that it doesn't jump forward through that 18-year gap. It stays exactly with it. And you see what happens. You see him grow up. You see him develop. You see that he is still the shape. He still is the face of evil. He has the mask throughout the entire film. Okay, he's never a kid at any point. I mean, there's only little glimpses of innocence, but there's never any significant moment where we can pinpoint and say, okay, here's where he could have turned the corner. Here's where he could have stayed good. Here's where he could have changed and not committed all these atrocities. We don't know that there's ever a moment that we could say that. Okay, so that's what makes Rob Zombie's Halloween so cool, because it's completely different from the original. Everybody says, oh, well, if you're going to do a remake, you should make it completely different. Well, he did make it completely different, but then he capped the film with John Carpenter's Halloween. So he takes the entire John Carpenter's movie and he condenses it and puts it on top of this backstory, this prequel, this birth of evil, or this evolution of evil, if you will, okay? Just evolution in terms of evil becomes from a little kid that can't really hurt too many people to a big, scary dude that's big, strong, fast, and impervious to pain, okay? That's freaking scary.